Looking for a casual baseball podcast to listen to? Well, Baseball with the Bard, presented by Clovercrest Media, has just what you're looking for. Tyler Bard and Noah Cross cover a wide range of happenings in the MLB and then dive into a deep focus on the Red Sox and Yankees. Join us every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for your weekly dose of Baseball with the Bard.
HHW Show Podcast returns January 5th with a new season, Road to the Royal Rumble. Hector, Frank, Jason, Ovi will be on the set with the latest news and takeaway. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and you can listen wherever you listen to your favorite podcast app.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Drawing About the G-Men, the Giants football podcast. We got a jam-packed show. We got a lot of people joining us today. We'll get to them in just a minute, but we're going to start the show like we normally do, and I'm going to give you the State of the Giants address. They came down. I mean, I said it from week 8. Giants were going to win 5 of their last 9 games and 6-10. I thought they'd make the playoffs. I did not expect I'm sure we'll get into Philly, that whole Philly-Washington situation, which was a mess. I'm not gonna blame Philly. I mean, they did what they did, but I'm not mad at it. The Giants made their bed. They did what they had to do. They could have won games that they should have won, and they didn't. But all in all, I feel very confident in the Giants moving forward. Big wins cap off a season. Coming back, Saquon Barkley. I mean, we'll get into it a little bit later on the future of the Giants. Let's start off talking about that last win, and let's bring everyone in. Obviously, we got Joe, Sean, Zay, we got Trevor, Steve, and our resident Cowboy fan for CMG Sports, Jared Jones from Throwing Jabs. What's going on, guys?
And he's wearing a mask on top of it. Damn.
I asked why Jared was here.
It's best we not see his face anyway. He's a Cowboy.
Right. Let's talk about the game.
Enemy line.
Oh, damn. All right.
Cowboys could have opted out with COVID this year.
Maybe. But, Joe, what did you think of the game on Sunday?
All right. Now, I had previously mentioned on our last episode that I was very disappointed in Joe Judge and the fact that for 3 straight weeks, this team was unprepared and did not compete. But when it came down to it and this team needed to win a football game, Daniel Jones and company got the job done. They did what they normally do. They sat on the 23 points, which is the Giants' way. I can't stress enough how important getting closer to 30 is, but that's for next season, perhaps. But I was proud of the way this team played. This was a playoff game. It was a must-win game. They won the game. And I feel really good about this team going into next season. This is a great win. This ended a streak against the Cowboys like an earlier win this year against the Eagles did. And I think it's important for the Giants to get back on to their winning ways, learning how to close out games. I mean, I'll take Wayne Gallman recovering a fumble with his ass to get a W. If that's what it takes to win, then that's what it takes to win. But I'm super proud of the way this team came out there and played. And again, at the end of the day, it's the NFL. And I know everybody wants like 45-10 wins, like this is Kansas City, but it's not. This is New Jersey, baby. This is the way we do it. And you're going to get 23 points and you're going to get these kinds of games. And it's important for the Giants, man, when you're close at the end to be able to pull these out. And they did that in the second half of the season a lot more than they didn't. And I think for that reason and that reason alone, this win to me is indicative of the entire season where you saw a team that just got better And if it wasn't for Evan Engram, Pro Bowler, who knows where this team would be right now. And that's really the most unfortunate part of this, I believe.
Yeah, I thought it was a great all-around performance from the Giants. Complimentary football, offense, defense, and special teams. On the defensive side of the ball, Leonard Williams took over again with 3 sacks. He's been a monster all year. Obviously, it was a great trade. A lot of people weren't happy about it last year, but he's came in and he got the job done this season. I think he should be in serious consideration for All-Pro. He's absolutely dominated. It was great to see Xavier McKinney impact the game. He had a lot of tackles. He had a tackle for loss, I'm pretty sure, and also obviously his first pick of his career, and it came at a huge time. It sealed the win for the Giants against the Cowboys. So it was great to see X-Men down the stretch in the last couple of games, and I'm looking forward to seeing that 3 safety look next year with Jabril Peppers, Logan Ryan, and Xavier McKinney. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And on the offensive side of the ball, I thought the O-line had one of their better games of the whole year. They really held up good in pass protection all day against a good pass rushing squad with players like DeMarcus Lawrence and Alden Smith and Randy Gregory. So I thought they did a really good job there. And obviously that helped out Daniel Jones, who looked really good. He made big time throws all game. We saw a little bit of the mobility. He looked a little bit better in that area in this game. So I thought the offense looked really good. And obviously my guy Shep had a monster game, best game of the year. And I think that if we put a legit number 1 receiver beside him going forward, going into next season, I think that this offense could really take off next year. And a good all around performance. Obviously, great to beat the Cowboys finally. And I really do feel good going into next season. The direction that the Giants are headed in.
Wow. Joe, Sean basically summed up the end of the season and off season, but now, what they said for the most part, just improvement from the Giants, basically. They did everything you wanted to see them do this year. Jones took steps forward. The line improved at the end of the year. They started off terrible, but started to look like an actual decent football playing unit at some point. So, like I said, we're a rebuilding team. You end up with a number 11 pick. Hopefully, you could package that with an Evan Engram and move up and get a top receiver or get you an edge rusher. Something the Giants desperately need on defense, but all in all, 6-10 is the best we can get out of it. Is an improvement. There's not more to be said, just improvement.
Yeah, I mean, I did pick at the beginning of the season for them to go 7-9. Saquon got hurt, so I could deal with 6-10. I mean, and for the game on Sunday, Leonard Williams, more has to be talked about him. He was outstanding. He's been outstanding all year. He's one of the top 5 defensive tackles in the league, 11.5 sacks. You got to look at 2 of the plays he made this year at the end of the season. The play against Seattle, that won that game, and then the play on 1st and goal from the 7-yard line, him making that sack, that won that game too. So Leonard Williams was phenomenal this year. But overall, for the season, 6-10, I'll take it for this year. I mean, seeing all the circumstances with the pandemic and everything, but and I see Dave Gettleman coming back. But next year's got to be a big year for the Giants. I want 8 or 9 wins at least, and I want a playoff spot. Because if you look at this division, I mean, Philadelphia is a dumpster fire. Washington, even though they won the division, they don't have a quarterback. And Dallas, yes, they're going to have Dak back, but their defense is very shaky. So this is a very winnable division next year, and I expect the Giants to be in the playoffs next year.
Is it my turn?
Yes, sir.
The man in the middle? All right. Well, I know that the Giants missed another postseason, but this year felt different, and leaving this year feels different from past years. Losing being 5-11 last year, not making the playoffs, like I said, it kind of was like, oh, here we go again. But this year felt different in the sense of all I wanted to see, and Joe, you could agree with me on this, I've said this multiple times on the show, on Keys to the City, is there was a direction. What's the identity? What's the direction of the New York Giants? Past years, we didn't know what the hell the Giants were doing. Now you got a feeling going into next year, and even with the NFC East, you look at the futures of all 4 teams. I think we could all sit here and say the Giants and Washington really have the best future in the NFC East. All those 2 teams are missing for the Washington. They just need a quarterback. The Giants got to figure out if Daniel Jones is the answer going forward. He's going to have 1 more year to prove it. If he doesn't play to standards of first-round top 10 pick like we hoped he was going to be, I'm sorry, guys, all the Daniel Jones lovers. He's going to be gone. But he's improved. Look, I know everybody's going to jump on me because, as usual, I'm the heel of this group. That's fine. But the defense played well. Last year at this time, we didn't know what our defense was going to look like coming into this year. It was a dumpster fire last year. Look at us now. It's a respectable defense, and the future for Big Blue in general is extremely bright, leading with the Judge. And I can't wait for that. And I think that's the biggest thing is Joe Judge has set a culture and identity for the Giants. And even with his last press conference, going after the Eagles. And as a Giant fan, I'm not mad about what the Eagles did. I mean, I'm not mad because the Giants had their opportunities. But this year felt overall different because there is a direction going forward, and I'm excited for Big Blue's future.
All right, we will get a little bit more deeper into Big Blue's future. Hold on.
Take your head all you want, Zay. I don't know what you're taking your head out for. Like, did
Listen, we'll get to that. Hold on. We'll talk about the future.
No, I'm gonna go right after it.
Okay. All right.
Let him get his word in, and I'll get back to you.
Baby.
Let him get his word in, and I'll get back to you. Because that was
like a bunch of crazed dogs now.
That was blasphemy. Okay, that's fine.
All right. All right. Before we move on to the future of the Giants, because it is a little bright. I mean, Jared's here for a reason. Jared, as a Cowboys fan, what did you think of last Sunday's game?
Before we get into the future of the Giants, and Jace tells us how the Giants are going to go 26-0, and Daniel Jones will throw for 7,000 yards and rush for 3 more and be the first quarterback with over 10,000 all-purpose yards. Before we get to that,
thank you, Jared.
Coming.
You're welcome. They played a pretty good football game, those two teams, and I think the future is probably pretty bright for both of them. I don't know if Dak comes back. Dak's in free agency. They've got that top 10 pick. I'd love to see it turn into Justin Fields, who I think is the best quarterback in this draft class. And now I want to go back to our Clovercrest Media Group graduating class with Jace and Showtime. And Joe, you were there, and I was the only one in the class that said Daniel Jones over Dwayne Haskins.
Yep.
And I've asked you guys to talk about it several times, but I haven't got it done yet. So I want to talk about not only that, but also that you're willing for Gallman to put footballs in his butt for wins. I just want to understand that better, too. So that's all I'm.
You got something to say, Zay?
I mean, like a Cowboys fan in a Giants podcast. Why'd you put him on? What? He's got nothing to say. His team sucks. And I hope you get Justin Fields, and I hope he ends up just like Haskins and every other quarterback to come out of Ohio State. Sorry, Trevor. I got to put it there.
I guess Alabama. Don't forget about Alabama. Don't forget about USC because, they're great too, right? Oh, I know. It's only Ohio State.
No. Their quarterbacks suck. Their quarterbacks suck.
That stupid narrative. Stop with that
Guys,
narrative.
let me just put an end to all the myths, okay? I mean, the idea that, right, like, only good linebackers come out of Penn State. Well, there's been pretty bad ones too.
Thank you.
Southwest Missouri State hasn't put up too many great receivers since Jerry Rice. Let's knock that off. Again, this all boils down to when you get drafted, you got to go to the right city, the right conditions, the right offense to get the most out of you. And if you don't, you're going to end up being a failure. It's as simple as that. You know, NFL teams are often in love with guys that are like 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". They got great NFL-ready bodies. Well, if you're a 54% completion guy, it's not going to work out if you're 6'10". It doesn't make a difference. There's guys that can do it, and there's guys that can't. I believe now, Jared, the Daniel Jones can. I didn't know enough about him then. I'm very impressed with this guy. I was wrong about Haskins.
Versatile, athletic. I
love him. Listen, I'll tell you what, Jared, you know better. Jared knows better than anybody. Jared knows better than anybody. I'm in a fantasy keeper league with Jared. And you know who my young buck quarterback was? My quarterbacks are twofold. Tom Brady, Dwayne Haskins. I wanted big things out of my man this year, and it didn't happen, and I learned that the hard way. But that's fine. But listen, Daniel Jones is a great NFC East quarterback. He's a great Giants quarterback. He's the right guy. He's exactly the guy they need with the offense that they're running. So that's why. He's way better than Haskins. Yes, he is.
He's a better than average NFL quarterback. People get talking about. He threw for over 2,900 yards. He's got 10 interceptions. That 7 of them were.
Is that better than average?
I'm pretty sure were the tight ends.
Is that better than average? 2,900 yards and 10 interceptions. Is that better than average? Can we look up the statistics for quarterbacks? I don't think either one of those numbers is better than average.
And those 7 interceptions are probably 7 touchdowns if it's not Evan Ingram.
Better than average in the NFC East. Go on.
You're talking about, again, a man who almost threw for 3,000 yards. He missed 3 games. He's got a new offense. He's got no number one receiver. He doesn't have his starting running back. His line's a piece of crap. And he still goes out there
4 and 5 on a regular basis, though. He's almost 3. It's not worth writing home about 2,900 yards and 10 picks. He's a good quarterback. I understand why you're excited.
Yeah, I know.
All of that being said, I've watched the game. This is a good team, and I understand why you guys are excited.
Thank you. See? I don't know why we're attacking Jared. Jared saw what he saw. Jared saw what he saw. And look, I'll say this. I mean, Dallas's defense a problem. They got to get a defense together, but I don't care who the quarterback is. You got so much talent on that offense that there's no reason the Cowboys shouldn't put up 30 points a week. So I agree with you, Jared. I think these are going to be the 2 bangers for the next couple of years. You know, who knows what will happen with Washington, whether it's Alex Smith or someone else or whatever it is that they're going to do at quarterback. But I still think that team, I mean, they got lucky this year, obviously, with the way the other 3 teams played. But I like the way the Giants and the Cowboys are set up. And I think it was important for the Giants to beat the Cowboys. You know,
Washington
the Giants
doesn't seem to have a single position that they're sure what's going on at.
Defensive line's amazing. Defensive line's amazing for Washington.
They have a great
On offense. Who's the quarterback?
They won the division off of formality.
Oh, McLaurin's really good, though. You got to give
him not that good.
McLaurin's really good.
The ball to him. Yeah.
I mean, they have
D-line is good. That's just about it.
They have the other Pro Bowl tight end that should have made it, Logan Thomas.
Yeah,
great catch on Sunday night.
Former
quarterback, mind you, from Virginia Tech, who has better freaking hands than that Pro Bowler Evan Ingram.
Dolphin flippers for him.
Responsible for 7 of those interceptions.
Just like those Virginia Tech tight ends, I'll tell you.
And by the way, I'll say this. Trevor and I, we talked this out with Teddy. I mean, there's not. I'm not concerned about what Philadelphia did in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
If the Giants would have done the same thing, I would have just taken my licks from everybody else in the league and been like, well, we got the number 6 pick. You guys know me for the last 2 years. I've been pretty vocal about the fact that I'll take an L if it helps the draft stock. And I like the fact that, I mean, while Joe Judge did blast the Eagles, and rightfully so, making mockery of the game, he said what a lot of the players said. We had 16 opportunities to get this done. And they full well know that they were good enough to do it. Yep. They had a lot to overcome, mind you, but again, when they had to win a football game to make the playoffs, they did it. And I'm going to ride that right into the next season, get Saquon back there. Let's see what you do in the draft and through free agency. I think New York's a desirable place again. I think that's the other really important thing here. I think it's a place where, look at Leonard Williams and the way Gettleman obviously gambled on him. He proved Gettleman right. He's been very vocal about it the last couple of days. Leonard Williams was like, you know what? I hear what the fans were saying. I wasn't worth it. And I wanted to prove Dave Gettleman right. So he was playing for Dave Gettleman. That's why Dave Gettleman's coming back next year. Like it or not, he's, like I said, he's tied to Daniel Jones. He's there until Daniel Jones is gone. Plain and simple.
Well, and that's a presence we don't have and need desperately in Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
Zach Gettleman. McCarthy is not going to get it done.
There's no how he didn't challenge that play is beyond me. He's got to challenge that. That's terrible.
Idiot stuff.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
Dallas is going to be fine
with the kids. Just let them play. Like
when Jerry Jones gets off the sideline, that's when Dallas will be good.
They'll be a Super Bowl contender again when Jerry Jones leaves. They'll be good when he's there, but they'll be a Super Bowl contender when he leaves.
just go sit up just go sit up in your suite. Just go up there and let the game happen, dude. Be like Mark Cuban. You could be Mark Cuban
under the field.
If you want to get your team,
if
you want to get your team the nicest stadium and the best Lear jet and the sweetest locker room, then do it. Be that owner, but you're not the coach. Get off the sideline.
Be the general manager
or the GM too. They got to get a GM.
Well, he is the GM, so
they got to get one. That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah.
Hold on. I mean, we talked a lot about the Cowboys. Let's get back on the Giants. And I'm going to kick it off with you, Trev, with this question. How confident are you in the Giants moving forward?
I think we answered this question a couple weeks ago, and I think we all were over, 6 or 7? I would stick with that. I would go about 7 or 8. I'm very confident in the New York Giants' future just because this defense, I like this young defense. That secondary, Logan Ryan, he's staying. The biggest signing to me, I really do think, is Patrick Graham. I think Patrick Graham taking a contract extension is a telling sign. I mean, they want to stay. Logan Ryan's there. They're going to probably most likely sign Leonard Williams. Don't know how big of a contract it's going to be. You still got Bradbury, who was an all-pro corner this year. The offensive line is only going to get better. I was impressed with Andrew Thomas at the end. Andrew Thomas did play his part. I know he struggled in the beginning, but I thought he did pretty well at the end of the season. The biggest question is if Saquon Barkley can stay healthy and Daniel Jones. That's what it comes down to for the New York Giants. The defense could be amazing. It doesn't matter if you don't have a reliable quarterback that could stay healthy. Availability. That's what it comes down to. The future of the Giants will only be as bright as far as Daniel Jones will take us. Plain and simple. And I know I've seen a lot of Giant fans on Twitter and all this. Oh, Jason Garrett, please go. You do realize that if Daniel Jones loses Jason Garrett, it's just another offensive system, and it's just another thing that he has to learn all over again. So why would you want to let that guy go? Also, Jason Garrett is a run-first type guy. Look at what Zeke was doing in Dallas. Jared, you can add to this point. Zeke was probably the best back in football when Jason Garrett was there. They love to run the football. How does it not? It doesn't help when their best player goes down in week 2 and changes everything up when you have a guy like Wayne Gallman, who is a very good backup, but he's not a full-time starter like a Saquon Barkley. He's not a game changer. So that offense changed drastically when Saquon, especially Jason Garrett's playbook. So people that want to get Jason Garrett out of it, you almost have to keep Jason Garrett for at least one more year just to see if him and Daniel Jones could coexist. If you want to get another offensive coordinator, you're just asking for trouble there. And if you think Daniel Jones is going to come in with a new offensive coordinator and just light up the league next year, I just can't see that happening.
When you say 8, you mean 8 out of 10 or 8 wins next year?
8 out of 10. I say the Giants'
so how many wins next year?
I'll go 8 or 9. 8 or 9.
It should be 8
or 9. I'll go 8 or 9, and if they keep, they're going to keep the 7-game playoff, right? That's like that's.
Oh, they're keeping that.
Say again, is a 500 team and 8 out of 10.
If it's the 17 playoff, I'd expect the Giants to be in playoff.
I'll tell you right now, I think the Giants
and under 3,000 yards is above average, and 8 out of 10 is a 500 team.
Well, see, this is your problem. That you hold on. Let me tell you. Can I tell you what your problem is? You're used to super inflated Tony Romo numbers. You think a quarterback should throw for 4,000 yards and 35 touchdowns and go 9-7 and then lose the wild card. Get out of here with that nonsense.
Look, pretty efficient.
The Giants are never going to win pretty. They're never going to put up points. Their quarterback's not throwing for 4,000 yards. Not going to happen. That's not how we play football in New Jersey. It doesn't happen that way.
Then so you're going to need Barkley to win.
Right. Listen, the reason why I say you need Barkley to win, the reason why I say Daniel Jones is perfect for this offense, again, I go back to Jeff Hostetler. Jeff Hostetler had some great guys running behind him. That's what it was all about. Make some throws when you need to, run when you need to. Otherwise, hand the ball to the stud behind you and let him run for 20 touchdowns. That's what the focus of the New York Giants offense has to be, because that's what New Jersey football is. Plain and simple. They've been doing it for like 60 years. It's not going to change. And as long as it's not going to change, then Daniel Jones is. Now, listen, if you were to tell me we're going to bring in a new guy, we're going to go with like one of those fancy I don't even know. What do you even call them? Run and shoot? I don't know. I don't even know what like a cool offense is called. I don't know what it's called. I just know that we pound the football.
West Coast offense.
West Coast offense. Bill Walsh. I couldn't remember all that because that's where my mind's at.
Wait, are you
That's
are you
what
paying
we do.
attention?
We pound the football.
So
He's perfect. He's
ran
perfect for
RPO
pounding the football.
all year. We ran RPO all year. Are you watching the same Giants?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I just said.
In the concussion age, the 3 yards in a cloud of dust is over. I don't agree with that.
Pay attention. I just said if they were to bring in a West Coast offense, Daniel Jones would not be the right guy. But as long as it's RPO, then of course he's perfect. He's like a Jeff Hostetler in the making. He can't turn the ball over as much as he does. But again, as you pointed out, saying it's like mostly Evan Ingram. Like, for crying out loud, that guy kills me. Also, a lot of the fumbles earlier in the year were, or even in the last few weeks, were when the offensive line played like absolute trash. So again, I see huge improvement. So to say this team going from 6-10 to 10-6 and being in the playoffs, that's what the New York Giants do. We're not going to go 14-2. You know why? Because Lawrence Taylor doesn't play football anymore. So that's not in the cards. It doesn't happen, and you can't go. It'll never happen.
But when you say 7 or 8 out of 10,
do is win 11 games.
No. Jared brings a good
10,
point.
11.
He brings a good point. If you're going to be high on the Giants, be high on their win percentage next year too. And I agree with you, Joe. I do think the Giants could be 10-6 because this year they could have been 10-6 easily. So
yes.
for me to sit here and agree with Trevor, it's crazy. I believe they're an 8. I believe they will get to 10-6 next year and win that division. They should have done it this year. But to say that they're an 8 and then say they're maybe going to win 8 games is very contradictory. It's like they might even win the division with 8 games next year. So I don't see how you could be that confident and then see that little wins. That's all I had to say on it.
Yeah, listen, hold on. To expand on that and say, I mean, if they go like 9-7 next year, then things didn't go well. If this team is 9-7 next year, then to me, it's a step backwards.
I wouldn't say that.
I don't know.
Listen,
after not having a winning season in 4 years,
it would mean very simply that the Giants still aren't winning games. Daniel Jones still isn't coming through. It would mean everything that happened before they got good this year.
They face some tough opponents next year. That's a rough schedule. So I don't know.
That's a good football team. There's no reason why the Giants. We don't expect the Giants can beat good football teams, and that's the problem.
No, it's not that.
Again,
Getting better.
They changed that this year when they beat Seattle.
Yes,
beating Seattle.
Absolutely.
All right, hold on. Before we move on from the Giants, I need to ask you, Sean, what do you think of the official 11th overall pick? Where do you think the Giants go with that in this offseason?
I think their 3 biggest needs are obviously they need edge rusher for sure. They need a number 1 wide receiver, and they need a number 2 cornerback to complement James Bradbury on the other side. So I know it's kind of a weaker class for the edge rushers. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants look into a receiver here because I know there's a lot of good receivers in this draft. Obviously, Devontae Smith would be my favorite pick. I don't think he's going to fall to 11 just because, he's been so tremendous this year, obviously winning the Heisman last night. But there's a lot of other good candidates like Jamar Chase, his teammate at LSU, Terrace Marshall. There's Rashad Bateman. So a lot of good receivers there. And but like I said, I would also look into cornerback because I don't think Isaac Yiadom's getting the job done. Julian Love looked good actually in the game against the Cowboys, but I don't think we can rely on him as a outside corner. So I think there's 3 definite needs that we have to fulfill in the offseason. We'll see which one we go in the draft, but I would tend to lean toward a receiver right now. I think that's the way that Gettleman in the front office will go.
Okay, I like that. Steve, I know, Dalvin Tomlinson and Leonard Williams are at the top of like the expiring contracts. Who is someone that the Giants could bring in from free agency, do you think, that could help them out in this offseason?
I'm an Allen Robinson or Kenny Galladay. I think you need to have that number one receiver. I think that definitely was. Yeah, I like Darius Slayton. I like Sterling Shepard, but I really want to get a number one receiver that can make a difference. If you can get Saquon Barkley and a number one receiver, that could change this offense completely. That offense could be definitely in the top half of the league, even top 10. I think this would be great for Daniel Jones, especially in year 3, to have that top receiver and have that number one, Allen Robinson or Kenny Galladay. Chris Godwin's out there, but I think he's going to be – the Bucs are going to franchise him. And Will Fuller's out there, but you can't rely on him. He just can't stay healthy.
All right.
Thank you, Stevie, for that. I appreciate that. I've been saying that too. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just
AR would be cool.
I just want a wide receiver that gets pass interference calls because the Giants don't have one of those guys. A guy that every time he doesn't catch a ball, he just turns around and points, and then a flag comes out. I want one of those.
Yeah.
Well,
I got 3 of those guys.
The one thing, I want. I mean, we've talked a lot about how wide receiver and D end are like the 2 big needs. I like what Tom Drew, my former O-line coach in high school. He said, the wide receiver or O-line. The O-line has been so bad. You need more consistency. I don't like these hot streaks from him. And I know Zeitler. I do say O-line every year.
But I think this
Zeitler is like he's gotten contract stuff coming up. They might release him. They might cut him to make some space. So get like a interior O-line, a Wyatt Davis, or Rashawn Slater. And I mean, they're really, really good. With that 11th pick, you don't like that, Zay?
No.
We just drafted 2 tackles last year.
The young O-line's got to figure it out.
And LeMahieu, you continue to develop those players. You don't get a whole new line of players.
No, I'm just saying one more.
You build depth.
I'm just saying one more. Depth, yes.
It seems as though the best offensive linemen the Giants drafted last year all came in the middle rounds.
That is true.
So I say
not necessarily.
Let's get a superior offensive player, and then you want to add some cornerbacks in there, and maybe an edge rusher,
or trade up and get a tight end.
This draft class is very
take a tight end.
I
have a thought about Evan Engram. I'd like to float on people. He's not much of a blocker to begin with.
He's not much of a catcher neither.
Well, and I know, but here's the thing. So look where he struggles. He struggles going over the middle, and he anytime he knows he's going to get hit by a linebacker or a safety, that's where he freaks out.
He hears the.
And I wonder if, say, you were to draft Kyle Pitts and move Engram out over here somewhere.
I'm not mad at that.
They wouldn't do it.
Problems.
I'm to the point where I just want to trade Engram. I don't even want to see him
fast enough, and he has that size where like he can get up and he can compete.
He's a good possession receiver.
I don't want to see
him on a 5-string corner.
I do not want to see him in Giants blue.
I don't think we're going to get value for him, though. That's the problem.
I also don't want to see Dave Gettleman in the owner's box for next year, but that's just going to happen. He's just going to be.
Let's just trade our whole draft and just get Trevor Lawrence. Bam. There you go. Everything's solid. Get one of those.
Listen, bottom line is, no matter what happens, Evan Engram will be a Giant next season.
Yeah,
so you got to
not wrong.
Got to figure that out somehow because he's not going anywhere next year.
Yeah,
so
they picked up his 5th-year option, so he's not going anywhere.
And package with that draft pick to move up and grab a wide receiver. Who knows?
Nobody wants Evan Engram.
How far are you willing to move up? Is the question.
I don't care. I want one of the Bama receivers. You don't want to lose draft picks. You don't want to lose. I want one of the Bama receivers. When you tell me
Devontae Smith, I could see being in the top 8 picks. I don't see him being there. I just see like a team like Philadelphia taking him because they need weapons too.
When you tell me Smith had 20 touchdowns, I don't think the Giants had 20 touchdowns as a team in the last 6 years. He had 20 touchdowns in 1 year. What? I want a receiver like that.
They had 20 touchdowns this year.
Hold on. We're getting crazy. Let's move on. Let's.
I don't know. I see a couple of games.
Hold the Giants talk now. That was solid. But let's move on. We got Wildcard weekend. Let's get into Wildcard picks. Starting off with the Bills at Colts. We're going to start with you, Zay. You're taking the Colts to cover the 6.5 as but will they pull out the win outright?
I doubt they'll pull out the win. I think the Bills are just playing way too good right now. But I do believe they'll cover because minus a slip up against the Steelers, the Colts have been playing bad football. So I think that's the perfect line for them right there. At 6.5, I think they cover that, and I think that's the bet of the week.
All right. And Jared, you have the Bills on the other side of that? You think they're going to win it outright and win it by a lot?
These are not the same culture scene. Buffalo. It's one of them. Hey, okay, following along. Somebody scoring at home. I like Buffalo to win. I think they've got one of this is a scary good team. Mm-hmm. I think this is a scary good team. This is a squad nobody wants to play in the AFC. This is the boogeyman, and for good reason. These are all going to be winnable games for Buffalo. This is their most solid chance to go to the Super Bowl since Jim Kelly was the quarterback.
Wide right,
guys. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, the writing's on the wall, and Andre could read it.
I want to ask you all a question about Buffalo, and come back to all of you guys. This is a question for all of you guys. It's not just me.
I got you.
I think the pressure. Everybody wants to talk about the Chiefs facing pressure. I think the Buffalo Bills face the most pressure in the AFC because of how much everybody's falling in love with them recently in the past month and a half. Who said what? The pressure is on the Buffalo. You just said it. The Buffalo Bills are the hottest team in the NFL right now. Josh Allen, if it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers' unbelievable season, we talk about Josh Allen as the MVP right now. Their defense is getting better. Their coaching staff is great. Their running attack is starting to work. Oh, and guess what? They have Stephon Diggs, who's emerged as one of the top 5 maybe receivers in the NFL. So there's a lot of pressure.
What they do in the last 5 years?
Huh? No, they've worked their way up. They were a laughing stock like the Giants, but they found a good coaching staff. They started finding an identity of culture. They worked their way up. But now we're talking about the Buffalo Bills this year, not just as one and done.
Giants and the Giants are an 8 out of 10 year, but this team is the pressure's on Buffalo now.
Yes. Hey, Dallas fan, you have to understand. This is a Giants fan. Let the Giants fan talk.
They're going to be happy with.
You really don't think there's no pressure on Buffalo? There's no pressure on Buffalo.
There's pressure this week. Huge pressure this week. They haven't won a playoff game in a quarter century. They got to win this week.
The last time we saw the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs last year, they blew a 16-0 lead. So look at me this. They don't face any pressure because everybody loves the Buffalo Bills right now, right? Other than
I'm
the
not
Chiefs
saying they don't face any pressure, but there's other teams expected to win.
Where are you ranking the Buffalo Bills in Super Bowl contention this year in the playoffs right now? Third, maybe behind the Chiefs.
Third or fourth, yeah.
Or maybe even second because the Chiefs have been struggling.
Wait, what are we arguing about? Is this argument about what is it about that there's the Bills are
Buffalo Bills have the most pressure on them this weekend.
Listen, Justin D'Onofrio on Sports Talk with R&J said it earlier today. The Bills this year are like Lamar Jackson, and the Colts are like the Titans last year.
That's what I was about to say.
Everyone's getting hot. Everyone's loving Josh Allen MVP. Everyone's talking about that. They're starting to build up hype. And you got this team who hasn't done anything spectacular all season, but they've been winning games. They've been getting by, and they're here in the Colts, which is very reminiscent to me from the Ravens and the Titans last year. You don't think so, John?
No, not at all. Because they knew how to stop the run against Lamar, and they forced him to throw the ball. And obviously Josh Allen's a lot better passer. And the Colts, they have to go to Buffalo. They play in the Dome in Indianapolis, so it's going to be a tough game for them going into the cold. Josh Allen is he's a much better quarterback than Lamar Jackson was last year, especially passing the ball, and he's going to expose this Colts defense, and I think the Bills are going to have a big statement win here. They are the hottest team in football, and their defense has been playing like it in the second half of the season, so I think the Bills are going to get a statement win here. I think I understand your point. Obviously, there's a lot of hype around this team, and you think that there's going to be a letdown, but I just don't see it from this Bills team right now. They're on fire, and they're going to prove it against the Colts.
Different season. It's a different animal, Sean.
That's fine. The Colts aren't that good.
Winning and covering.
You don't have to be that good. You just got to be that good that day.
Pressure on Baltimore. You just said Baltimore was in this step from last year. So you don't think there's more pressure on Baltimore to win than Buffalo being a year ahead of them by your own account?
Let's get to that.
I think there is.
Let's get to that Baltimore game because Trev, that's your best bet of the night. Ravens minus 3.5.
Yeah, and trust me, Baltimore. Don't worry, they're not getting a pass either, Jay. They're probably have the most pressure in the entire playoffs, and Buffalo's right there because Buffalo's the darlings of the NFL right now. Everybody's in love with Josh Allen. Everybody's in love with Stephon Diggs. But the Baltimore Ravens, they're hot right now. They're just as hot as the Buffalo Bills. Lamar Jackson, I know is not a great passer, but guess what? He looks pretty damn good to me the past 5 weeks. He's looked great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he picked apart that Giants defense that we all praised for so long. I'm just saying, this Baltimore Ravens team, they're hungry. And the last time they played these two teams, Joe, I lost that bet. You want double or nothing right now? I need another bet. No, but the last time they've lost to the Tennessee Titans in the past 2 heartbreaking ways, too. Last year, everybody was high on them. I love the Ravens right this week. I think that Titans defense is very, very suspect. And I think this running attack of J.K. Dobbins and Lamar, it's gonna be a long day for the Tennessee Titans. I expect the Ravens to roll big this week. I really do like the Ravens to make a deep run in this playoffs. I expect them to be like a giant type run.
They have the formula to beat KC. They can run the ball. They got the formula to beat KC.
I feel like KC. Huh?
You don't think so, Zay?
No, the Ravens are not built to beat KC. That team is loaded.
They can run the ball.
They can hold the ball. They can keep the ball away from Mahomes.
Yeah. They keep Mahomes
That's
on
the
the
only
field.
thing
Their
they
defense
can do.
can contain
I believe
them.
that.
Yeah.
It may be that might be the only
The
thing.
defense is good enough to stop Mahomes.
Absolutely.
You don't want to get the problem with
Three
KC
yards
is
in
no
the
one
dirt,
wants to get into a
cloud of dust.
shootout with them because no one is beating them in the shootout. It's just not happening. That team is way too talented. I don't see
That's
it.
not how they're going to win.
Hey, we said that about the Green Bay Packers back in 2011 when they were 15-1, and guess who beat them in the divisional round at Green Bay? What a full crowd! Those New York Giants. Because what did they do? They ran the football, and they played great defense, and they had a clutch quarterback. Now, I'm not saying Lamar is Eli in the sense of that, but also the Chiefs haven't played or are not going to be playing for almost 3 weeks. And the last time we saw them play, they played an Atlanta Falcons team that I don't know. If you tell me, they good defense. Because they made Patrick Mahomes look pretty garbage, too. Mahomes has been struggling recently.
That's a below-average defense, yeah.
And Atlanta's defense, they've been playing better under Raheem Morris than they were at the beginning of the year. But obviously, yes, they're not up to par with the offense of the Chiefs.
You have a long layoff. You might see rust. And I think this Baltimore's team is rolling right now.
You're not going to see rust.
All right. But before we move on, I'm sorry. I forgot about this. Joe, you had the Bills versus Colts over 51 points. You think they're going to score that much?
48, 38, 56. That's what they've put up in the last 3 weeks. They're averaging 31.3 points a game. They give up 23 points a game. Indy scores 28 a game. I took the halfway point on 25. That's 56. Of course, they're going to go over 51. That's easily where you want to put your money this week. Bills, Colts, take the over.
I think it's more respect to the Colts defense. That's why it's 50. I'm surprised that it's so low, actually. I think it's more
that's
respect
shockingly low. They're asking you to take their money on this bet.
Well, I mean, you
Buffalo might score 51 points.
I mean, you don't know, Joe. I mean, Vegas is Vegas for a reason. So we will see. But Sean, speaking of Vegas being Vegas, you're taking a big spread. The Bears, 10 points.
Yeah, I don't believe in the Saints too much. I mean, obviously Drew Brees, he hasn't looked great since he's been back. They have a very good defense, but I mean the Bears, the way that they've been playing with Trubisky, I think he's 6-3 as a starter this year. I think they never should have played Nick Foles. I think the Bears would be in a much better spot, but they got David Montgomery going. I think he'll have a lot of success on the ground. And the last time they played, they went into overtime. They played earlier this season. So I just think this is a way too high of a number. I just think that the Bears will contend in this game. I think that their defense will keep them in this game, and I could see them easily covering this one. So I think this is absolutely my best bet of the week.
All right.
Michael Thomas this week.
Yeah.
Is Alvin Kamara going? Is Alvin Kamara going?
He's questionable right now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thomas back.
That can help me out too.
I mean, from one NFC South team to another, Steve, you're taking the Bucks. Another big number at the -8.
Oh, yeah. I remind Justin every week the Patriots got rid of Brady too early. We all know it wasn't clearly Brady's fault last year. The Pats' offense was terrible. It was the guys he had around him in New England. So I'm so happy he joined Tampa Bay. He's had a great year. 40 touchdown passes at 43. That is just amazing. The guy's obviously the greatest quarterback ever, and still a top 10 quarterback. And in this game, I do think that Washington hangs in early. I love their front four: Chase Young, Montez Sweat. I think they hang in early, but Washington doesn't have enough offense. Their offense is absolutely terrible. They got in because of their front four, and I think Tampa Bay's offense has been playing really well. They're going to score more than 24 points. Yes, Mike Evans, it might not play, but Brady's got a great rapport with Scotty Miller, and he's starting to get a rapport with Antonio Brown and Chris Godwin too. So I got the Bucs winning this by 3 scores, 27-10 over Washington.
All right. I mean, 3 scores, that's a lot. And for my best bet, I'm going with the Browns.
Giants.
They struggled against a Mason Rudolph-led Steelers team. I think they bounce back. That was a sleep game. I think they bounce back. I think they get the win, because this season the Browns are no longer the Browns, ladies and gentlemen. You can trust the Browns, and I think you can trust the Browns to get their first. They can get their first.
He fell off.
I think he got first playoff win in 94.
He fell off his own.
Oh, shit. My bad. Their first playoff win in
94. Last playoff when the Browns had Belichick as their head coach.
You're right.
And that's his only playoff win without Tom Brady.
The Browns aren't the
Quick
Browns.
list of the teams
Who are they?
that have more pressure on them than Buffalo, the Seahawks, with Russell Wilson, the Saints, and Drew Brees is running out of time. Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers need to beat the Browns, who puffed up their team for 2 years now. They've been expected to win. They're not going to. The Ravens, the Buccaneers, when you're not talking about just Tom Brady, because Tom Brady has got to be running out of time, but as the Buccaneers, you don't think some pressure's on them more than Buffalo? I think there's like 6 teams playing this weekend with more pressure on them. I'm sorry, Jace. What were we saying? Big
right.
back.
I get that. All right. But we are going to, I mean, that's the picks for this slate. I mean, we got great playoff football this weekend, but now we're starting off something new, trying something out. 2-minute drill. You have 2 minutes on the clock. We're going to start with you, Joe. 2 minutes. Who will win the Super Bowl? The timer starts now.
Look, I'm going to just pat myself on the back, and Trevor will back me up when I say this. From day one this year, I said Josh Allen was a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. I rode my man all year long. He went through a bit of a rough patch. He bounced back. I knew he would. I say this guy is going to go to Kansas City, and he's going to teach young Patty Mahomes a little thing about football. And that thing is that you don't have to be as good as Patrick Mahomes, just close if you want to beat him. I think the Buffalo Bills will play in the Super Bowl against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers in what will be a high-scoring affair, and the MVP of that game will be a quarterback.
All right.
Nailed it!
Whitney spot on.
Time still on the clock. Sean, go.
This year, I'm going to go with the Chiefs out of the AFC. I think the Bills and the Ravens both will, give them a good shot. I don't think the Ravens are going to get the chance because I think the Bills will beat them. But I think the Chiefs will just get by the Bills. I think it will be a really good AFC championship. But the Chiefs offense is just way too much. We obviously know they have, 2 of the top 5 receivers in the league with Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. They're absolutely dynamic on offense, and on defense, they're a little bit underrated. They have a lot of playmakers, so I think they'll get the job done and make it to the Super Bowl. And the team that I think will meet them there is actually going to be Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If they end up beating Washington, they're going to run into Green Bay. They played earlier this year, and the Bucs absolutely waxed them 38-10. So I don't think it will be a blowout this time around, but I think Tom Brady, obviously, he knows what he's doing in the playoffs. If they get Mike Evans back, that will be huge. And they'll be without Devin White because of COVID, and Shaq Barrett was a close contact, but hopefully they'll get them back if they end up beating Washington. So I just think they have all the right tools. They're playing really good at the right time. The team I think they'll meet there is actually the Seahawks. The defense has played a lot better. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs-Bucks. I think the Chiefs will pull it out, and another classic Mahomes-Brady matchup. So I think the Chiefs will go back-to-back this year.
All right, Zay, go.
Well, Sean done took mine, but I think the Chiefs are actually going to win the Super Bowl again. Since day one, they've shown they're the most consistent. They're the best team. They're the most ready team. They've been since week one. Yeah, they had a couple of stumbles along the way, but you can only be perfect for so long. I'm going to take the Chiefs. They'll probably they'll probably play the Bucs. If the Bucs get past week one, I don't see anyone beating them. So give me the Chiefs and Bucs in that one. The Chiefs obviously taking it because most complete team in football right now.
Steve?
The NFC is wide open. There's just so many there's pretty much 5 teams you could make a case that could win the NFC. Maybe not the Rams because Jared Goff is out. But I picked Seattle from day one. I know I'm not as confident as I was at the beginning of the season, but I'm going to stick with them. So I'm going to take them to win the NFC. I love Russell Wilson. He's still one of the top quarterbacks in the game. DK Metcalf, one of the best receivers. Their defenses play better, even though Jamal Adams is a little bit banged up. If they beat the Rams this week, hopefully he gets healthy for the rest of the postseason. Carlos Dunlap was a good addition there too. So I got Seattle winning the NFC. And in the AFC, I know Baltimore and the Bills have played better, but I never pick against the Chiefs. I never pick against Patrick Mahomes. And I think that Baltimore and Buffalo will give them good games in the postseason, but I'm not picking against Mahomes in the AFC. I think he outduels Josh Allen. And I think, yes, Baltimore might have a big game running the ball on them, but I think he makes enough plays to beat Baltimore. And then the Super Bowl, I'm going with the Chiefs to repeat. Mahomes to win his second straight MVP. I got the Chiefs over the Seahawks, just like it in the preseason. I got the Chiefs over the Seahawks in the Super Bowl.
All right, Trev?
So at the beginning of the year, I picked the Ravens versus the Saints. Well, I'm picking the Ravens in the AFC. Call me crazy. Ooh. Don't care. I love the formula that they have right now. And I do believe, look, we bashed Eli Manning before he won his first Super Bowl when he was struggling in the playoffs. Remember his first playoff game? 5 picks against Carolina, and then he lost, or the Eagles, and he lost to the Eagles. The next year, it was all pressure on him. Well, he won a Super Bowl. They have the right formula. They have, to me, the best coach other than Andy Reid and John Harbaugh, who's been through it all. He has seen the ups and downs, and I just love what this team's doing. They're scoring at will. They're scoring 37 points a game the past 5 games. Their defense is shut down. They're 5-0. Like I said, Lamar Jackson, J.K. Dobbins, I know he's not a thrower. I know he's not going to beat you with his arm. But guess what? He's going to beat you with his legs, and they have the right formula to win the Super Bowl. And in the NFC, I've been hot on this team all year, and I do believe that they are the most complete team and the best team in the NFC, and that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we'll be having the Buccaneers versus the Ravens inside of an electric 13,000 fans in Tampa Bay this year, and I can't wait for it. I can't go against Brady. And I can't go against how much talent they have. Now, Mike Evans, we got to see how long, how serious his knee is. That could be a big thing. But I just love how much offensive firepower they still have, even without a Mike Evans. That defense has to get it going again. But you can't go against TB12. And I'm going with Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens.
All right. I think regardless of everything, whoever wins the AFC is going to be the Super Bowl champion. The AFC's loaded. Every team is very, very well-rounded in the AFC. The NFC's a mess. I think there's really only 2 teams that can compete in the Super Bowl, for the Super Bowl, and that's the Saints and the Bucs. I'm picking the Saints. I picked them since day one. And I'm saying I was with you, Trev, since day one. I'm sticking with it as well. Lamar Jackson, he's starting to get things rolling. He figured out last year was his MVP year. This year is his actual win year. He's actually trying. He did enough just to get by in a lot of games early on in the season. Now he's ready. He's geared up and prepared for the playoffs. I like the Ravens to go in, get the win Super Bowl 55 in Tampa against the New Orleans Saints. Ooh. But that is going to do it for us.
I have the Ravens. I do have the Ravens winning the Super Bowl as well. I just want to say that too.
I'd also like to point out the Buffalo Bills have averaged 47.3 points a game over the last 3 weeks, which makes what Lamar Jackson and company do look kind of pathetic.
You don't want my Super Bowl pick, Jace?
Yeah, who cares?
Oh, my God, Jared. Yes. My bad. I apologize.
Cowboys.
He's winning the Cowboys every year, just like next year too, right?
Cowboys by 100. Cowboys by 100. Dak Prescott comes back on one leg.
Who had more
piggyback rides from Zach Martin.
Get crazy.
I like Buffalo.
Get crazy, Trevor. I wanted to hear that.
Joe said about Buffalo.
Oh, you know what I was going to say.
And everything Sean said about Tampa, I totally agree with. I'm taking Buffalo over Tampa Bay. Buffalo's going to win the Super Bowl. Little caveat, that Ravens-Titans game, the winner of that game has the potential to go on and win the Super Bowl. That's a scary game. I don't even want to pick a winner outright in that game. And before we go, we used to have like the State of the League address for our Clovercrest Media Fantasy Group, and we didn't really get a chance to talk about it. Jason and I played in the 3 versus 4 game. I dropped that. Forgot Joe Wilson the week before. Otherwise, I would have won the title if you do the math, but lost to a really good upstart 7 seed. And he went on and lost in the Super Bowl to a one Newt Dizzell, a.k.a. Newt Dizzington, a.k.a. Nut Dizzle, a.k.a. Dizzington Bear, K-Mesk, 23. I got a guy, South Florida, Chris Masconi, Super Bowl champion. Talk about it. Straight off the Jake Jerker coaching tree. And Joe, if you play your cards right, I might take you under my wing, make you competitive in some of these leagues next year.
I love it.
All right. I love it. Shout
Little
out.
Chris. Bam.
Shout out to Diz for winning the first annual CMG Sports Fantasy Football League. But for myself, for Joe Aguirre, for Sean Scanlon, for Kingsday, for Trevor Keys, for Steve Risser, and for Jared Jones, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Nice shirt, Jace.
Thank you very much. Drawing About the G-Man is a CMG podcast. Make sure you go to clovercrestmedia.com to check out one of the over 31 different podcast bunch, not just sports, spanning all different types of genres. Make sure you check it out for your podcasting needs. And if there isn't a podcast you don't like there, make your own. And make sure you check out Clovercrest Media Group on Twitch as well. We're close to getting an affiliate there. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. And we will see you next week for more Jawing About the G-Men. Peace out.
Stay safe, boys.